Okay. Here we have a, this is the first one for me. Customer sent this to me, wanted the electrolytic capacitors replaced and an alignment done. So that has been done. But I have to say this is the first one of these I've ever worked on. This one is used. It was very lightly used because it's in very good condition. But actually came with the box with all of the accessories in it. So mounting bracket, power cord, everything is supposed to come with, to include the owner's manual. And when I first saw this, I thought, just another black box export radio, And hell, even after I took the covers off, I'm still thinking to myself, black box export radio. Well, I was wrong. And I guess this video should almost be more of a question than a show and tell, because I want to know how in the hell this thing got FCC type approval. Because if you notice, blasted gold faceplate, it's hard to see anything on it. There, see that? Low, medium, high. Now that was supposed to be originally, I don't know, either the tone, I think the owner's manual says the tone, but from looking at it, I think it was actually the brightness, because if you notice, this has the rear illuminated controls. I think that was actually part of that, but neither here nor there. Usually anytime you see something that says low, medium, high, it may not initially be a channel modification or, a band selector, but it was designed to be that. And this radio is no exception, so that's why I want to know how in the hell this thing got FCC type acceptance. Or did it not? Or did a different version of it get it, and they illegally put the that FCC ID number on the back of it. Let's get a little bit of extra light here. So, pop this cover off. Not much to see on this side. Now, I always write down anytime I see board numbers. I put them in an index. So I have list pretty much anytime I get a radio. When I see a board number, I always check to make sure it's already in my index, and then if I don't have it, I write it down, and that way in the future, if I get a different radio that I might have service information for, and then at a later date get another one that uses that same board, but there's no published information on it, I can usually find that board number in my index then, and, great for cross-referencing, stuff like that. But in any case, I looked up this board number. I did not have it. It's a JP... light just right here, JPM XX0222A. Okay. The only other radios I've ever worked on or seen that have a board number that starts with JPM are either Euro CB, or I think there was one or two made by Dragon. So basically it's a European CB. Or it was made, by a European. Well, it was made in the Philippines, but the companies, I'm going to assume this is more or less a European-style CB radio. Now, it's AM, so, it doesn't have FM. It's an AM only. But here's the kicker on this thing, and this is why I don't see how in the hell this thing actually got type acceptance. And actually, let me flip it around and show you the back of it, because I even looked at it and glanced over it and didn't even realize it's there. Right there. FCC ID MB3M450. Now, the other thing that I discovered is the owner's manual just has a sticker where it says BullDawg 3030 on the front page. Well, if you hold it up to a light and look through that sticker, you can see underneath of it, it says Mongoose 450. So, yeah, you can see the 450 right there, the M450. So, yeah, this is just a rebadged, apparently just a rebadged or rebranded Mongoose 450. But, so my question, this low, medium, high switch. So originally that would have been either for tone or illumination. What I'm seeing, it looked like it was probably for illumination. The thing is, this thing was obviously a 3-band radio. Okay? If you look right here, there's a plug right there. There's a socket, one there, and one there. There's a white, and a brown. And if you follow the wires off of this mode selector, this low, medium, high switch, that goes to this plug, and this plug, which just happens to be what activates these two crystals. So you take these three plugs. Originally, when you got this radio, it would have had the white plugs would have been plugged in here, here, and here. And you can see they're different styles and colors. So there's, you can't hook them up to the wrong one. So originally those 3 plugs would have been over here. And then on the bottom side of the board, some of these are jumpered over now, and a little bit of circuit modification. I guess that's to get the illumination working. But so it was obvious. All you had to do to expand this thing from a legal 40 channel radio and get an additional 80 channels, or 30 upper and or 40 upper and 40 lower, was to simply move these jumpers, or these plugs, wires, off of these 3 over to these 3. Now you can't tell me the FCC didn't see that shit and went, nah, there's no way. I get the feeling that they might have produced this radio in a different format, or maybe without the plugs and without these extra crystals, because that's another thing that's kind of, well, it's not unique, but it's kind of odd for a manufacturer to do. But they probably produced this, and then I'm guessing they illegally changed the radio to this configuration and just continued to use that FCC ID number. But what they did was, to get the 40 upper and lower channels, most of your radios nowadays, your multi-band radios, they'll, up to a point, they'll just program the pins to the PLL chip differently. There'll be 1 or 2 pins that normally wouldn't be used for 40 channels, and then when you switch to those different bands, it will either apply a ground or a voltage to them, depending on which of them. And once you get to a certain point, then they'll add, like the Galaxies and Rangers, they get to a point where they actually add a separate board back here. It's a binary adder board. Well, the programming to the PLL pins does not change. The channel selector is wired straight to it, and that never changes. What they did is they added 2 crystals. I think one's 14. Hell, I get the schematic out here and look at it. 14. Where in the hell's that? 14.910 and a 15.810 megahertz crystals. So that's what they did. So when you're in normal CB, you're just using these 2 crystals. When you switch into the low or the high mode, you're using this crystal and then one of these other crystals. They changed the mixing scheme, or which crystal's being used. So yeah, I don't see how the FCC would have popped the covers on this thing and went, yeah, it's illegal export radio. You're not getting approval for that thing. So yeah, but other than that, it's no other fancy features. It's pretty much just a straight, AM CB radio. Nothing to write home about. The board layout's a little bit different than pretty much anything you see in this country. I guess it's a little bit more similar to some of the other European radios I've seen. Your audio circuits kind of shifted around this way. I mean, the audio amp's right here. That's its normal location. But usually your modulation is back this direction. And you can see the jacks and everything. A lot of this stuff is just shifted a little bit around compared to our stuff. Transmit circuit still goes back this way. Drivers right here, and then the final's just a 2SC2078, so exactly the same final transistor as a Cobra 29. Lots of other radios. 2 stages of filtering. It's got your normal little standard 10.7 ceramic filter there, then a 455 kilohertz little black box ceramic filter right there. So yeah, other than that, pretty straightforward. Like I say, I'm just curious if anybody else has ever, tech's actually worked on these, or is a little bit more familiar with them. Like I say, I just can't see the FCC giving this thing type acceptance. I get the feeling they illegally used the FCC ID number on the back of this thing from a previously approved radio. Yeah, and it looks like, I guess they're out of business. Probably been out of business since the 90s. I'm sure once the FCC found out about this, they went, oh, hell no. But, yeah, I'd say it was probably made 90, what do we got here? Probably 95, early 96. PLL chip's got a date code of 95 on it, so, it was mid to late 90s radio. But, there you go. I just wanted to do a quickie little preview of it. Like I say, it's nothing super fancy. It's just basically a normal CB radio, AM, but, had a very easy to add 80 channels just by removing 3 plugs and sliding them over to 3 empty plugs. So there you go, the BullDawg 3030.